The era of Baker Mayfield in Cleveland is coming to an end. At least, that's what it looks like. At about 10 p.m. last night, Baker Mayfield sent out a cryptic message to the Cleveland fan base, and many speculated that it has to do with the potential of the Browns trading for Deshaun Watson. In the message, Baker stated, "The past 4 years have been nothing short of truly life-changing since I heard my name called in the draft to go to Cleveland. This is not a message with hidden meaning. This is strictly to thank the city of Cleveland for embracing my family and me." He continued on to say, "I have no clue what happens next," which is the meaning behind the silence I've had during the duration of this process. "I can only control what I can, which is trusting in God's plan throughout the process. I've given this franchise everything I have. That is something I've always done at every stage and at every level, and that will not change wherever I take my next snap." I mean, honestly, to me, it looks like Baker Mayfield has one foot out of the door already. Baker Mayfield is coming off of by far the worst year of his career, and next season will be coming off a recent shoulder surgery Mayfield had in the offseason for an injury he sustained in week 2. Many fans speculated his down year was a result of that injury, and while we can't say for certain that's true, we can say that the down year couldn't have come at a worse time. Mayfield was said to be the guaranteed starter in the 2022 season. At least, that's what we were told. That was until Deshaun Watson was cleared of his criminal charges, and everything changed, marking the start of the Deshaun Watson lottery. This just sucks for Baker Mayfield, who really struggled last season. This was going to be his season to prove his worth and get paid. But now, he's on the verge of being included in a trade package for Cleveland to be able to attain Deshaun Watson. That just sucks. Watson, who has yet to take a snap since January of 2021, is now on the open market, and a couple of teams have made a major push, with the Browns just recently entering that equation. Theoretically, a trade with the Browns would make a lot of sense for Deshaun and put him in the best situation to win immediately. And that's why I believe that message that Baker sent out, in a way, is his final goodbye to Cleveland. But the question is, would we be in a different place if Baker didn't have a bad season last year? And I really don't think it would change much. Baker was lucky enough to play on a team with one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. With that being said, when he was asked to make plays with his arm, he came up short a lot of the time. He was reckless with his passes and therefore threw 13 interceptions to his 17 touchdowns. He finished the year with a 60.5% completion rate, and he was ranked as the 24th best quarterback in the league in 2021 by PFF. By just the numbers alone, if the Browns could land Deshaun Watson, it would be a no-brainer. Baker's career quarterback rating is 87.8, and Watson's 104.5. If we only compare the two's last healthy season starting, which for Baker would be 2020, Watson's completion percentage was 7.4% higher, he threw for 1,260 yards more than Baker, threw for 7 more touchdowns, and threw 1 less pick. On the stat sheet, the disparity between the two players may not seem that big, but I can assure you that Deshaun Watson is an absolute upgrade over Baker Mayfield. I really like Baker, and I don't want this video to make it seem like I don't. I've followed him since he came into the NFL. I like how he carries himself. I mean, I've just been a Baker supporter and always given him the benefit of the doubt. However, I'd be lying if I said that didn't change a lot this last season, and it really has nothing to do with his injury. It's no secret that the Browns were absolutely terrible when Baker Mayfield was drafted by them, and he definitely turned them around to an extent. But if that's your only reason for keeping him around, you don't have a very good argument, because the Bengals were also atrocious when they drafted Joe Burrow, and they just made it to a Super Bowl. Baker has had years with tools to help him make things work, yet he's always seemed to come up just a little bit short. And I get it, maybe some of the expectations for Baker Mayfield were a little bit inflated, not only for Baker Mayfield, but the Browns in general, because once they got OBJ, everyone was touting them as Super Bowl contenders immediately. And on paper, it looked like that's what they were going to be, but we all know how that unfolded. I 100% still believe that Baker Mayfield deserves a starting spot in the NFL. I for sure don't think he's a bad quarterback, but if we're going to compare him and Deshaun Watson, I don't think the comparison is really that close when it comes to the ability to be consistent. This was going to be Baker's last year to prove it, but it seems like the Browns are all in on getting Deshaun. And speaking of Watson, I think he was genuinely one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL before the allegations derailed him. I guess we won't really know if he's going to be able to just come back in and produce like he did back in 2020 me with that insane season he had, but still, if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I'm willing to take that risk. Because not only am I going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's going to come back in and produce numbers, but he's also only 26 and just entering his prime. Deshaun Watson is a player that can take a lackluster roster to the playoffs. And just imagine what he could do with that offensive line that Cleveland has, and now with Amari Cooper on the roster as well, he has his number one. If I'm Deshaun Watson and I'm weighing the teams that are going to try to trade for me, I personally would go to Cleveland. The trade would not only benefit Deshaun, but it would put Cleveland in the conversation to win their division and maybe even go deeper in the playoffs, just by getting Deshaun alone. The AFC North is nuts. As I've been talking about for these past couple videos, it's probably one of the most stacked divisions. I don't think it's the most stacked, but it's definitely one of the most difficult ones to at least try to garner a playoff spot. Personally, I think Cleveland makes the most sense for Deshaun because it feels like all these other teams that are trying to trade for him would have to include a star player and or just don't have a star player to trade, which wouldn't be great for Deshaun. It doesn't seem like Deshaun wants to go somewhere where he's going to have to rebuild an organization like I would say the Falcons are right now. The Browns could definitely work something out with the Texans, and the Texans would get Baker Mayfield and have to pay him less than they would have to pay Matt Ryan if they did that deal. So I think that's definitely something they're going to be looking into. I personally don't believe Deshaun Watson is going to go play with the Saints if Michael Thomas is included in that trade package. I would assume that one of the biggest reasons Deshaun would want to go to the Saints is to play with Michael Thomas. As for the Carolina Panthers, it seems like McCaffrey's in the conversation to be included in a trade package, and I also don't think Deshaun's going to want to go to a team that just got rid of a star player, especially if that player could benefit Deshaun greatly. And for Atlanta, I'm sorry Falcons fans, you're just a shit show right now, to be completely honest. And throwing Deshaun in Atlanta wouldn't really put him in a great spot to, even get into the playoffs, depending on how, the Bucks do now that he's coming back. So I personally think bringing him into a team who's theoretically in win now mode in the Cleveland Browns would probably be the best move for him. They'd most likely have to give up less pieces than these other teams would have to give up, at least pieces that would, impact the play of Deshaun's game. The Browns just went out and picked up Amari Cooper. He has his number one wide receiver. They still have Nick Chubb on contract, which is going to be huge for the run game. That offensive line is still great, and I do think that defense is also still pretty damn good. You throw Deshaun Watson into that mix, and nobody's going to want to mess with Cleveland. Now, as for Mayfield, it might be a sad thing that he's leaving the team that drafted him, but it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing for him. He could go somewhere else where they're more bought in on him if he impresses them, and then he could land a big contract. It would be a fresh start for him, and honestly, that might be what's needed for Baker at this point. Now, like I said, if the Browns can land Deshaun, I wouldn't be surprised if we started hearing the rumors of the Cleveland Browns going to the Super Bowl again like we've heard before, except this time they might actually get there. We should know where everything plays out within the next day or so definitely stay tuned because things just got interesting.